Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to this new TouchDesigner tutorial. It's UV here, um, and today I'm gonna show you uh, this component that I built recently, which is the 2D particle system component, which is based on the system that we built together for the last two tutorials. What I did is I just reconstructed into a component, well organized with a lot of additional features that I will cover in this tutorial. I'm not gonna build the component from scratch. Um, I think it's not the focus on the tutorial. You can get the component in my Patreon page. You can go there and sign in and get it. Um, and the focus is to show you what you can do with it, all the features. Um, Maybe there will be some stuff that are not working well. We'll see. I don't know. And um, maybe there's stuff that still needs to be added. So I hope that if you use it and you find some stuff that needs to improve or to add or change, please let me know, um, and I will update it. I'm gonna update it every once in a while, and I will announce it in my Patreon, and you can download the next version. Um, for now, I'm very happy on the results, and there's a lot of uh, stuff that you can do with it and explore. So let's move on to show you the system. So this is the component here, and it has four outputs, as you can see, and it seems that it doesn't have any inputs, but the inputs are over here. Uh, for instance, in the forces, you can just take like a noise or something, for example, and drag it here as a force. Um, so this is how it works, like for the inputs. Um, so the outputs are the position of the particles, the color, size, and here it's the attractors. So it's convenient to see the render of the attractors over here. And over here, these three are going inside a render network inside this container. Just a simple instancing network and a render with a bunch of post effects like these. Sometimes I use HSV, so for now it's off, but it's sometimes I use it to change like the colors and a feedback uh, for the trail, bloom, a luma blur with this ramp to have like a bit of blur that will give it more depth, and a level and a transform to have a black background and scale it a bit because the luma blur sometimes uh, blurs the edges and it doesn't look nice. So let's jump in here and split the screen, make it a panel, and you can press here and you can see the particles. So now we don't have any force, so it's just like a plane of particles. And if I press the key 1, uh, it's resetting. So this is the component. We have three tabs over here. Let's see the first one. So the first one, you can type in the number of particles in the simulation. So uh, for instance, I want like 1 million, um, and then the count over here changes accordingly, as you can see. And the count, it's basically the resolution, the map of the forces. So if we use a noise as a force over here, we can drag the count and just reference in the resolution, so it will be fit to our simulation. If you don't do it, it will manually fit it inside, but it won't be accurate, so don't forget to do it. Uh, we have the life of the particles, the life variance, random position, which is now on, but if it's not, you can see the particles are not random, like it's like a perfect grid. But I like to initialize them with a bit of noise, which give it a bit nicer look, in my opinion. You can toggle it off and on, whatever you want. And the bounds X and bounds Y and the heat behavior, uh, now it's on clamp. So if you change, for instance, the bounds on the X, so it's clamping it. Also for the Y, for example, uh, yeah. And you can change also the behavior, like to loop or zigzag, or just don't do anything, and like the particles will grow, um, and nothing will stop them, kind of. Let's leave it at clamp for now. So you have the next section, it's the speed of the simulation, and the reset key. You can change which number of key uh, is going to reset it. I chose to do it 1, and when I press, you can see it's resetting. So that's it for this tab. Um, so this is the forces tab, which contains the external force, with a bunch of uh, parameters here, and the attractors. So let's begin with the external force. We have here the noise that we referenced with the right resolution. Let's make it 32 RG and not monochrome. So now we have like a nice vector field, and if we drag it uh, to the external force, you can see we have some movement. If I press H, it will fit it into the panel. Um, we can offset it and make the amplitude 1. Cool. And of course you can play with it, do cool stuff with just simple noise. In the force external force section, you have the amount of force that you can play with, and also the speed. Um, yeah, so let's now before we continue with this parameters and the attractors, let's move to the render. And in the render, first thing we have here is the plane size. So you can basically change it to like ratio, different ratio, and the whole simulation will change like this, and then you can fit it into like many screens, and yeah, it's nice. So let's keep it on square. So the fade, uh, it's like fading in and out the particles. So without it, it looks like this. And like if I remove the feedback a bit, you will see it will it's like flickering a bit, and it doesn't look nice in some simulations. So I've added this fade in, fade out, that you can also play with it, um, and it makes it like smoother. Also, if you play like with particle life, so you get like different results. Let's keep it at one. Um, yeah, or render tab. So yeah, it helps it look cleaner. Uh, and let's get into the render and increase the feedback a bit. Cool. All right. What else in the render? We have the color. So you have four choices over here, which is like constant color. You can change it to whatever color you want. Um, we have color based on the velocity. So when you uh, choose it, you need to have like a lookup. So you can drag like a ramp, and just drag it over here, and the color will be uh, like based on the velocity, the amount of velocity. So you can change in the ramp the colors, and the faster the particle moves, it goes from the left to the right. So yeah, you can create like nice stuff with it. Uh, yeah. Also, if you will change like the noise, of course, also the colors will change, because it's based on this. Cool. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do with just the noise. Um, all right. So next is color based on the age. So it's based on the particle life. Let me change the brightness in the forced effect a bit. All right. So sorry. Yeah, a lot of stuff to adjust here, but hope you will get it. And so yeah, the color now is based on the life of the particles. So you can get also some nice results. You can also change it, the ramp itself, um, and color, the costume color, uh, which opens this costume color, and you can drag whatever you want. And yeah, as you can see, it looks like the ramp. And you can also like animate it. And yeah, so a lot of stuff to play with. And what else? Yeah, this is it for the color. Let's change it to constant color again. And let me see. Oh, the size. So the size also can be a constant size, and you can play with it. Uh, the size can be also based on the velocity. So you have like the range here. So the more fast the particle moves, the more its size is bigger, and you can make it opposite. Um, yeah. So I found it like making it like more kind of organic look with this, because the particles are not in the same size. Um, Maybe like this. Yeah, yeah, a lot of stuff to play with. You can have the size based on the life of the particles, which also makes it more organic, I would say. Mm, yeah, and the costume size, uh, which you can use like maybe a noise, and don't forget to reference the count. Make it 32-bit mono, and drag it in the render in the costume size. So yeah, also makes it much more organic look, I would say. All right, think we can move on. Let's make it constant. Okay. Let's move on to the before we continue with this, let's move on to the attractors. So to activate the attractors, you can press here in the active, and then you need to tell them, give them like a position and a size. So we can create a noise for the position, and we want, let's say 20 by 1, so we have here like 20 positions. Let's make it 32-bit G and not monochrome. Add the null, and we can drag it to the position. It's me. Okay. So we have like the attractors over here. Maybe you can see them, they are very small. Let's reduce the force amount here, and now you can see them, but they are small. So let's create also like a texture for the size. So we can add the noise here and make it 32-bit mono and not monochrome. Sorry, monochrome. Yeah, 32-bit mono. Yeah, add a null and drag it to the size. And let's make them, let's look at it and increase the size to 10 maybe. Okay, and 10. Let's reduce the, so let's go to the forces and let's maybe reduce the force a bit and increase this softness. Yeah, looks nice. We can animate it. Okay, so now we can change also the force type. So you can make it spiral, which is very nice. Um, let's increase the size a bit. So you have spiral, you have like exile, which can be also like, if you make it negative, it will repulse. Um, so let's continue with spiral, and we can also add a bit the original force that we had in combination with it. This one. Um, yeah, something like this. Cool. Um, One more thing we can do is in the force type, when we choose like spiral or exile or anything basically, uh, this is external basically. It's like taking the same force from the external force and applies it in the on the attractors, as you can see. Um, and we have also a costume force that we can drag here, and it will be applied. But in the spiral, what's nice, we can change the direction of the force also in the exile. Um, so we need to give it a texture, which is with pixels of 0 and 1s. And 1 it's like one direction, and 0 it's the other direction. So let's say we want like half of the spirals to turn to the right and the other half to turn to the left. So we need just like a texture in the same size of the noise. Um, so let's grab a ramp, for example, and in the output set resolution only, make it 32-bit mono, and we can use a math with a round, and then you can see we have like half black and half white. Add a null and drag it into the direction. Now you can see half of them are in the other direction. What else we can do is in the render we have the color attract. So if we turn it on, you can see the particles that are not attracted are basically black, and you can play with this uh, filter to smooth it out, and also with this, like if you want to remove them like to remove them, just make it 0, but if you want a bit of the particles that are not attracted, you can increase it here. You can make it without any filter, and also like in the forces, uh, without filters, and it will be like sharpened, kind of like you can see the circles, uh, which is also nice. um, we can also in the noise of the size, decrease the exponent maybe to 0, and then they will change their size like very fast. Maybe increase the size a bit. Yeah. But you can see the FPS is dropping a bit. um, so yeah, cool. And of course you can on top of it add some colors, for example the velocity, uh, and costume, the age, and play with it a lot. Also the size. And it makes it very organic. Nice. Okay. Um, let's continue. Let's turn this off. Um, make it constant and turn off also the tractors, and take all of these, put it aside. All right. So now I want to talk about these parameters, a slope and whatever comes after it. Um, so basically you can turn any photo, any texture, like you can take a movie file in with this famous banana, um, and add a slope after it. And in the slope you can change keep the red horizontal and luminance, and the green vertical luminance, the 0.20, and make it 32-bit float RG, and increase the strength to 50, let's say. So you can see the slope top is calculating the slope between the pixels. So it's basically creating kind of like a vector field or a force that's uh, based on this uh, texture. So this is what I did here. Um, so you can drag an external force that is not a noise with only RG, or you can just drag basically anything that you want, um, and turn on the slope, and you can see your banana. But if you make it stronger and play, let's say, with the pre-shrink and the filter size, you can get a nice looking things. Uh, Also you can put the transform to center the banana. Cool. So yeah, you can put anything you want, your video, camera, Kinect, and play with it. Um, Also you can color it based on the banana. So you can take the costume color and put the texture itself. Maybe remove the fade in, fade out, and you have like a banana particles banana, which is very nice. And yeah, so what else? The 0 points, it's just the 0 point. So if I increase it, particles will move a bit to this right top edge. And sample size also, um, you can try to play with and see if it's changing the results. The limit also, because sometimes you can put a texture which is like very high, like the level, and if you want to limit it, for example, I can put the strength to 500, and I can limit it, and it sometimes it's the results, it's very nice with the limit. um, Play with it, maybe you will find it useful. So yeah, I think I covered. Oh, maybe this one, the perpendicular, I didn't cover, which basically make the making the force perpendicular, uh, only the slope. So maybe it's hard to see it now in the banana, but in the next example I will try to show you now, and you will see it better. The perpendicular, basically it's also in the spiral, in the attractor's force, in the spiral force, it's the same calculation. And you can go inside. Let's do this actually. Let's go inside in the um, attractors, and maybe not the attractors, the forces, and you see um, I have this perpendicular component, which basically takes multiplies the one of the axes. You can choose green or red, doesn't matter, by -1, and this is how you calculate the perpendicular vector to the vector that you want. And yeah, you can read about it uh, out there in Google, and and know more. Um, cool. Let's move on to these two examples that I want to show you, and then you will see the effect of this slope and in much more detail. So yeah, let's create first one. Let's take a ramp, and in the particles tab we can reference the right resolution for this. And let's make it 32-bit mono, maybe not mono, maybe RGBA, I think. Let's make the type circle, and let's animate it. What else we can do is um, blur it a bit. Let's make the filter size 32. And after it, let's add the noise. And in the noise, offset to 0, amplitude to 0.2, exponent to 3, harmonic gain 1.15, harmonic spread to 2.9. I'm just copying actually the example that I did before, so it will look nice. And you can change the seed also. And let's add a null after it. So we've got this texture that looks very boring, but let's see what happens if we put it in the external force. And let's also remove the color to constant. All right. Mm, what else? Let's remove the perpendicular force. Um, and yeah, we're starting to get some nice results. We can also change the ramp here to black, and in the middle white, and the edges to black. Let's go to the render and maybe increase the feedback. Mm, yeah, I think this is pretty much the results, and you can zoom in a bit. Um, so yeah, with the simple, setup with ramp and noise, you can create really cool stuff. You can also play with the noise. Um, Also, you can um, turn on the size based on like velocity, for example, um, which will make it like more organic vibe. The Luma blur, maybe add the bloom. Yeah, looks nice. Um, yeah, there's a lot you can play with here. Um, Maybe add perpendicular force a bit, so you can see now they're starting to turn a bit, which is nice. Cool. So this is like one example. Um, and the other example I want to show you is this one. Let's copy this ramp, and let's copy it twice actually, and connect one to another, and the second one change it to radial, and here let's make it 0.1, so we have this kind of thing. And we can also copy the blur and this noise, in the blur, increase the filter size. Cool. So now let's connect it instead of the noise, or instead of the other force. and you get this kind of thing. um, what else? um, we can increase it to, let's say, 200, and blur it a bit, and make it a bit perpendicular. um, let's reduce the bloom a bit. Yeah, so you can get these kind of things. um, cool. um, what else you can do is to um, uh, basically take this texture and apply it to the color, and it can be nice. So let's actually select it, and let's add a level in between, and after the level let's add a null, and in the render we choose costume. We have the color of the banana still, but let's put this, and now you can start playing around with this. Wait, something happened. 1 second. Yeah, the bloom, sometimes the bloom is like crushing. Nice. You can play with the color. Yeah, I think the bloom is crashing. Let's just bypass the bloom. Hmm. Yeah. Uh, so hope it's useful, and I think really these two examples are a tiny bit of the stuff. I hope you will be creative and just create like nice textures, and try to put it in the force and play with the parameters, and check it out, see what happens. This is what I did. Sometimes I plan it, okay, I want this, but a lot of the times I really just play and see what happens. Uh, so again, this component will be available with the project file of those two examples, and also with the render network and everything on my Patreon page. Um, and of course, if you have any questions and suggestions, please feel free to send me a message on Instagram or in the Patreon. Um, and I really, really hope you will like it and you will use it. And yeah, so have a nice day. Bye bye.